Well, it's the off season now. What do the Steelers do? Will they actually do good this time? Or will we have another season of mediocrity? I want 7. We need 7. We need a Super Bowl win for Captain Cam. He's not getting any younger. We're in a win now state. But we have enemies in the AFC. And a lot of them. A lot of competition. Tomlin, if there was ever a season to work your magic, it would be this one. Hello, Steelers Nation! Welcome to another episode of Steelcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Steelers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Zach. It's the off season now. Well, it's been the off season, but you know what I mean. Attack! And today we begin the off season here on Steelcast. And oh boy, it's going to be quite something. This will probably be like the one and only video I make between now and the start of free agency, so don't expect anything too crazy. But we can start going ahead and breaking down the Steelers offseason. We'll go ahead and start with the moves they currently have made and looking at rumors and then maybe future free agency signings and potentially a round one mock draft. So let's go on ahead and start with what we've currently done. And the big thing of note, and a lot of people are iffy about this one, and that is the signing of our offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith, the former OC at Tennessee and the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. So, you might be wondering, did he suck as the Atlanta head coach? Yes. He was not, his play calling was not very good, I'll admit. He is not, Desmond Ridder wasn't really good QB. He didn't really use Bijan that much. And he had all these weapons to throw to. Desmond Ridder had no reason not to succeed. And of course the defense struggled, but that's because Arthur Smith is not a very good defensive mind. But in Tennessee, when he was the offensive coordinator, the Tennessee offense was number 1 in the league. Actually, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC at that time. So are we going to get the Tennessee Arthur Smith, or are we going to get the Atlanta one? That's like the big thing that Steelers fans are hoping, that they get the Tennessee one and not the Atlanta one. Of course, being a former Tennessee OC, they're thinking that maybe we can sign Ryan Tannehill. More on that later. But yeah, so the Arthur Smith is very heavy pass blocking, very heavy run, big bulky receivers usually. QB friendly, if I didn't already say that. But the only really big problem is that he doesn't really make any second half adjustments. So if the plan fails at the start, the plan's going to fail the entire way through the game. So it's a really big what's the word I'm looking for? A really big if Arthur Smith is going to be the guy, like a really big if, to lead us to the big game. We don't actually know, but I mean, can be any worse than Matt Canada. So I guess I should be grateful for the time being. Also, free agency cuts that we have made. okay, they have made other coaching changes, but those ones were like wide receiver and offensive line, so not really big ones there. But anyways, as I was saying, free agency cuts as far as they've made. Trubisky, well, we also saw that one coming. People's going to stick around. Okafor, our right tackle, Broderick Jones came out of a job. Fair. And the other one, Presley Harvin III, our punter. He did good his first year. After that, hot garbage. Probably has like a punt average like 40, 45 yards. Has not been very good. So, and with all those cuts made, we're looking at about a cap space of negative $3 million. So it's not great, but so that's where we get to the other free agency things, like what we can do. Pat P will stick around, but he's being paid a good chunk, so maybe rework his contract to make him take a pay cut, and I'm sure he'll take it because I know he wants to stick around in Pittsburgh. Trade Deontay Johnson because he's he's not a very good pass blocker, and with Arthur Smith being the OC now, he's not going to fit into the system. So, and Calvin Austin's more of a return man anyway. He's like the secondary Ray McLeod. So, I mean, he has caught touchdowns and good passes, don't get me wrong. But he's basically a secondary Ray McLeod. So, probably trade Deontay Johnson and then retool Pat P, maybe a few other more free agency cuts because they're going to be needed. And maybe and also some trade rumors going around for Pittsburgh. Maybe not so much trade rumors, just like signings and stuff. There was a trade that they could potentially get Russell Wilson. I know I said Ryan Tannehill earlier would be a good fit because of Arthur Smith being the new OC. But Russell Wilson, we can get him for the vet minimum because he has a clause in his contract with the Broncos, and they're probably going to end up releasing him, and they're probably going to draft a QB like Bo Nix or Michael Penix, depending on which route they decide to go. So what we can probably do is trade. Well, not trade. They're going to probably cut Russ, and then we can get him for like the $1.5 million and the rest of the remaining contract, because the Broncos have to pay the rest of it off in dead cap space. So we could get Russell Wilson for a cheap contract, and then we can build up from there. Of course, the rumor is that Kenny Pickett is supposed to still be the starting QB, but Kenny Pickett hasn't really proved that he's worthy to be the starter in Pittsburgh. I want him to be, but he hasn't really proved it yet, and he really needs some more time to develop. And Russell Wilson, despite his old age not being good anymore, well, I mean, he still is good, but after that when he came back in that Seahawks that one year and then got traded, he hasn't been the same since. He hasn't been the same Russ that can cook. Broncos country. That's right. Yeah, we'll see about that. There were some Justin Fields trade rumors, and I would not be against that. But yeah, he probably won't get have that trade go into fruition. Another thing would be Mason Rudolph getting cut. Because, yeah, he's a really good backup, but he's not going to take you all the way to the Super Bowl. And also, the numbers he put up were against mediocre defenses and all those points. So, not really saying very much. Yeah, I don't know. But hey, I'm sure the Steelers will figure something out. In terms of potential free agency signings, a lot of people have been looking at Tyler Boyd wide receiver of the Bengals because he wants to, at some point in his career, be dressed in a Steelers uniform because he is from Pitt. So why not make that season this season? You can get him on a cheap contract because, like I said, he wants to play for Pittsburgh, so he'll probably take like a good solid $4 million 3-year contract, so like $12 million, and you're gonna probably trade away Deontay Johnson anyways, and he's being paid more than that, I think. So, why not go for that? And then, you have some free agency capital left, can go ahead and sign some tackles, rework some contracts because some people might have to take some pay cuts. But hey, you never know. So I really don't. I really think the start of the free agency thus far, offseason for the Steelers, has not been bad, but it's going to be when March hits. When March hits and the free agency market opens, what are the Steelers going to do? And they still have some more cuts to make. So we'll probably do like maybe one more episode before free agency starts, talking about any more moves Steelers have made and what I would like to see from the Steelers in the offseason. Potential first round mock draft. I've seen a lot of Marion Mims in offensive tackles. I think the other one was like that Tundon guy. So I would actually love to see OT for the first pick at 20th overall. And that would actually be a relatively solid pick. So I would actually not be against that. I've seen defensive back as well, which would also not upset me because our secondary isn't very good. I mean, it is, but it gets banged up a lot. And Levi Wallace isn't what we expected him to be. So probably at some point in the definitely draft a corner at some point, definitely a wide receiver, and maybe a third string QB, assuming we cut Mason, which will probably end up being the case. So yeah, I think that's what we're probably going to end up doing. Which, like I said, I would not be against. So and also wide receiver too, because wide receiver Deontay will probably be gone. We get Tyler Boyd, but probably still need another receiver just in case, because on a cheap contract, because George Pickens and Najee Harris are going to get expensive soon. So yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I honestly didn't talk as much as I thought I was going to. I thought we were probably going to be here for like 30 minutes, but who knows? But yeah, that's really all I had to talk about. So I'd say this year's offseason looks pretty bright, but over the past 2 seasons, it's been messed up because of QB play and offensive coordinator play calling. So if we can get that QB situation figured out, which is priority number 1 before anything else, and Arthur Smith is the guy, Steelers go Super Bowl? It's not out of the question. You gotta let Russ cook, but that's only if we get him. Which we are the favorites too, so I assume we will. But yeah, my name is Zack Attack, and as always, you're in Steelers country.